Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Sammons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Tony Creed, CEO of ARCO Enterprise. Tony is a serial entrepreneur, franchise expert, and executive coach who has built and scaled dozens of businesses over the course of his career, including owning and operating over 50 franchise locations. With a background spanning leadership, finance, and operation, Tony now works with entrepreneurs to help them scale through better systems, stronger leadership, and strategic growth models like franchising. Tony, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Olivia. It's a real pleasure to be with you.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, and I'm very much excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about your journey. So, Tony, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up the companies, and then from there, what was the motivation behind doing so?
Oh my gosh, such a myriad of different things. I'm a retired naval officer. The day after I retired, which has been over 20 years now, I started my first franchise, which was in a completely different arena. It was real estate, which I did that because of my interest in real estate. I bought my first house when I was 18 years old. And then being in the Navy and doing some moving around, real estate was a natural fit. Also, I did real estate so that it would feed the other companies, such as the mortgage bank I bought, the title company, insurance, property management, etc. And so that was where my journey started in business. And then from that, after I built that, sold it, and then built another franchise in the same space, and then went off to Ukraine to be CEO of a company there to help a B&P bank build an enterprise of different services. We had 10 different stovepipes or profit centers with the B&P bank there. And so that really interested me in getting more education because I found out how much I didn't know. And so I went back to decide I would do more education. And then when I was doing my doctoral studies, I decided that I would take a swing at some public, private, and nonprofit areas to see the influence on values and how it affects not just governance, but also culture and the bottom line. And as I was getting back into the game, I decided that, hey, I had opportunity to invest into a number of SmartStyle hair salons, which are in Walmarts. I saw that as a great opportunity. My mother was in the business her whole life, her sister, cousins, etc., not just hairstyling, but also the bar and beauty supply.
Nice.
She always said, this is a great business, but the problem is there's no benefits. So that was the gap that I actually wanted to fill, is I'm like, if this business is about the hairstylists, which are your employees, why not be the employer of choice and attract good people that's going to be with you for a long period of time? So our company was set up and founded based on taking care of its people, offering them benefits, including health benefits, dental, vision, retirement, etc.
Beautiful. I love that. And it was actually one of the first things my dad ever taught me about business was good businesses are built by good people. And it is looking after those people that work for you that do so much. Staff retention is not something that's very much focused on in the modern work front. They're very much like shiny object syndrome, move on once you're on to the next chapter. So it's so nice you've built that on that philosophy moving forward. And I suppose obviously with all that background and experience you've had in business, covering a variety of sectors and different industries, different roles, you naturally always had that ambition to be an entrepreneur, surely, or is that something that you developed throughout your career?
I started my entrepreneur career when I was 10 years old.
There we go.
I started cutting grass and figured out that if I could undercut the other 13-year-old guys that were cutting grass, then I could get more clients. I could steal their clients from them.
And that is
I
it.
could barely push them over, by the way.
Yeah, but you had the initiative to go out there and try and do it. Just
Exactly.
do what you need to do.
Exactly.
That's all you
Right.
need to do is that little bit of geniality coming into it. So let's dive into ARCO Enterprises a little bit more then, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So, Tony, you mentioned that obviously still developing along that franchise front, but at this point in, who would you say is your ideal client? Who is it you very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how does it help them? And how do you support them?
Every morning I get up, I have to ask the first question is, what does my boss want?
Yeah.
And in my business, my boss is the person who walks into that salon that has the money. And my second boss is the employee, that person that's going to service them and giving them value for their money, but also it's a relational business. So I want them to create that relationship. People return to that stylist because of the relationship that they establish, because they all go pretty much to the same school, they all have the same standards, they all have the same license, they have the same equipment, etc.
Very true. And it is that kind of business where it is very much built on relationship aspect. So
Right.
so obviously then how is it you're going and driving that business? Do you franchise the place out or do you just help other people build their own franchise? What is the dynamic between you and your clients?
We actually are the franchise owner and operator.
Beautiful.
My secret sauce is having good people around me. I do not operate. I am not into the operations. We have an operational call on Tuesday and I get up to date. I look at the numbers every day though. We're 7 day. We have 2 days we're not open throughout the year. And I have three different brands within our enterprise. We have Supercuts, which is the largest brands, SmartStyle, which are in Walmarts, and then Cost Cutters, which are in retail space. And we mostly do digital marketing to get the people. But it really in that business is we will hire some stylists to come in what we call a book of business. So it's very important that we take care of our people and that it's a place that they are gravitated to, that they know they're going to be taken care of. They got a good culture, and it's a place that their customers feel comfortable coming there over the last place they were at. And also, having said that, you see the key that if they walk out, they may take that book of business with them, which affects our revenue significantly. So it's very important that when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what's going to make my people happy? So the customer is happy, because you can't be, we operate in 3 different states. I can't be in all those places at one time. It is important for me to be on the field, but I can only kind of do one state at a time.
Yeah, 100%. And it is with that booker call in the UK, when it does come specifically to salons or hairdressers, it's a booker chair system. And it's, as you say, you are very much depending on that hairdresser. They bring in their own customers, which is a great way of living for them. It's a great lifestyle. They get to run that chair, that booker call, however they want to do. But keeping them happy, keeping the clients happy so that everyone else is obviously progressing and happy along the way is an easier job said than done. So very much keeping on that client retention and staff retention are those big
Right.
aspects when it does come to franchising. Now, you mentioned there as well digital marketing coming into play. So I'm assuming that's how you're getting about and getting other people to be on board and open their own franchise. What channels or what methods are working well for you in terms of that space?
So let me make sure I understand the question.
Please
Are
do.
you asking about how we get people to franchise?
Yes.
So I'm not really in that space.
Oh,
I
okay.
do some consulting in my coaching and consulting business. I do help people find the right business for them and then help them get it set up and get it operating and then coach them through that
Beautiful.
process, which I really enjoy doing that. I love helping people. That's been my mantra throughout my life, is serving others. And I think that's what our purpose on life is for.
I love that. And there is such nuances to having a franchise compared to opening, obviously, your business from the start. So naturally, you'll have
Yes.
that experience in that where you obviously leaning into coaching is a great aspect for you. And I suppose, what are your ambitions or your visions for the company moving forward? Maybe when you think of the next 6 to 12 months, like where do you hope to be in terms of the salons and even any other kind of experience or projects you have going on the side?
Believe it or not, in the coaching business, that business is where a lot of my time has taken me, because what I have found out is that most people that go into franchising, they don't have that business experience like me. I retired from the Navy. I didn't have that business experience. I knew from my mother and my family's franchise business that, hey, it was an easy way to get in business, and you're not necessarily in business alone. The other thing is that with the hair salons, My first 11 locations were in Walmart, and they're only in Super Walmart, which 1.5 million people a year come through there, and every day 300 employees show up. So that's in market. The other thing is that it's heavy retail. Now, since the pandemic, that retail has fallen off because of consumer behavior and also of this expansion of online purchasing. And so other people have gotten in that business. So our retail business has dropped off. And that's where we've had to focus our business is if that's fallen off, how can we increase our revenue over on the service side, if you will?
Yeah, as you say, so that walking traffic is very much depleted, and I suppose naturally within a retail sector, it would do on that front. And then
Right.
obviously, I'm assuming coaching does take up a lot of your time. It's a very kind of time effective job. You are swapping your time for money in that aspect. And a lot of founders I know don't know much about business anyway. So as you say, even a franchise coming in, there are often different nuances of how you can run that business and how you can support it, depending on what contract you've
Correct.
gone into as well. So helping out with that aspect must be, as you said, like a great fulfilling moment for you as well, just giving your expertise to somebody that is not so experienced in that field. And Tony, I do have one final question to ask you. So if you could go back in time to a younger self, and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
Focus on systems is that as a founder, you're working or operating and looking at things at a macro level. And I'll compare it to an iceberg. We're looking for what's sticking out of the water, but what sinks the ship is below the water. You have to get your systems in place. I help people with what we call our business operating system. It's based on the same principles as Traction by Gino Wickman. And so that is something that we live and die by is our systems that you got to know every day of what's going on in your sales and marketing, what's going on in your operations, your finance, which most people put HR under there. HR is what kills you. And if you don't keep an eye on your finances and HR, your operations is going to fail. And so that's where that I think a lot of founders kind of get, let's just say that they get a little complacent about where they may be because they've got revenue coming in, but they really don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Without the systems in place, then you're not going to, and when I say the business operating system, it takes you from your vision, mission, values down to your strategic planning, which then creates your tactical objectives, which forces you to build a business plan of how you're going to resource those tactical objectives to meet your strategy, to meet your mission, and then the KPIs that's going to go behind that. Those fundamental things are crucial to me for business success, especially when you start getting in the millions and you start operating multiple locations, multiple brands. Without that, then you're only going to be looking at what's out of the water on that iceberg, and you're going to steer clear of missing that, only to find out that the rip in the hole comes from what was below the water that was very wide.
Yeah, look at the depth. And that is such a great advice for anyone that is listening as well. And Tony, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do?
Multiple ways, Tony-Creed.com. And then if you just want to reach out to me at Div Pro Coach, DIVPRO Coach, you can just shoot me an email.
Beautiful stuff. And Tony, thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate your time today.
And my pleasure, Olivia.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please be sure to go and check out Tony. As I just said, drop him a message, tony-creed.com. Check out his email. I'm sure he would be loved to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we'll see you on the next one.